Good morning, folks. New week begins. And a lot of nonsense in the newspapers this morning, but we'll correct the headlines as we go through them. As you can hear, my phone's gone mental, or the notifications. Right, let's see who's in this morning, shall we? Margaret Russell, Last Braveheart, Stevie Charlton, Alistair Kerr, Melanie, Gary, Wee Bird, Lorna Shields, Stephen Nicol, Muttley Von Erich, Alex Adams, Jamie Dodger, Peter M, John O'Rourke, who was the first one in the door this morning. Folks, I'm sorry the notification was so late. It appears that I forgot to schedule this morning's programme to about 10 minutes ago when I entered the studio. So I do apologise for that. Good morning, Regan Elite. Are you back for your holidays, dear boy? You can let me know if you're going to be on right after me. Anyway, morning Storm Hunter. Morning Ian Matheson. Morning Neil. Morning William. Right, numbers are rising nicely, so let's get this one underway, shall we? First one of the week. Indy Truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, on the 11th to the 10th, 2025, where it is 9 degrees, overcast, misty, but it's dry at the moment, no rain in the forecast, so it will definitely rain. Today's high here, remember that's here, will be 14. Okay, humidity's at 100%, which is quite unusual for here inland. And the wind's at 3 to 10 kilometres an hour. So basically 1.5 to about 6 miles an hour. And the pollen count is 0, no worth talking about. So if, like me, you've got hay fever, today's not going to be a problem. You can leave the antihistamines in their box. All right. Now, of course. Right, yeah, so Regan Elite is up after me at 11 o'clock, folks. Alistair's put a link in the comments. Right, first up this morning is the Herald. So let's get it up and see what the Herald's got for us today. Right into the park. There we go. Now, according to the Herald, landmark Scottish wildlife laws filled with loopholes. Campaigners warn scheme is being badly undermined. Now, according to this, the Scottish Government's licensing scheme for grouse moors is being seriously undermined by gamekeepers. Now, the reason why they licensed the grouse moors was so that they could regulate gamekeepers who have got a habit of poisoning raptors, apparently. Wild bird of prey here in Scotland. The gamekeepers don't like them because they eat the grouse. Or they kill the grouse, whatever it is. But anyway, apparently the licensing scheme is being seriously undermined by gamekeepers and bad policing. So there you have it. So that's what the Herald's on this morning. We'll get a shot of that. And next up's the Scotsman. What's the Scotsman go for us this morning? The Scotsman has rural energy projects need pull factor to power boom. Now, according to Business Investor, who shall remain nameless, we need to be building accommodation near to where we build these wind farms so that people that work on them can live nearby. And we need to build schools and everything else that goes with it. And I'm saying to myself, who sees? villages, towns to look after wind farms. Why? Once the construction phase is over, it's only 8 or 9 men to keep them going. They're only lubing them up, turning them on and turning them off. No biggie. In fact, to be fair, they don't even turn them on and turn them off. That's done in the call centre just down the road for me. But that's beside the point. Why would we need to build towns and villages for these wind turbines and these wind farms? What a lot of nonsense. And the other thing is, there's normally settlements nearby anyway, because they're put up to power the local settlements, local towns and villages. Even cities actually, like the Greenlees wind farm. But what a lot of nonsense. We need to build houses and towns to accommodate the people who are going to work these things. Heard it. Somebody's been on the bevy. Certain businessman. Right, after that we've got the scum. And it's SNP conference storm. Nat's 14-second insult to salmon. Family tribute fury. I watched the conference. And to be fair, I didn't see any insult in the tribute to Mr. Salmond. But maybe I've misread the situation. Maybe there's something in that I didn't see. Right, after the scum will get answered, and the answer goes on. Story of paedophile, it's Liam Moore has been jailed for just a year and a half after abusing girl of 12 for 5 months. This isn't justice, furious mother blasts. 1.5 years for abusing a 12-year-old. What do you think of that? I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances were. But 1.5 years seems a bit light. Seems very light actually for statutory rape. There should be a 5-year minimum on it. Rosie, naughty step. Never mind your phone mayhem. No excuses here. Anyway, and anybody else that's like, you're joining Rosie on a naughty step. But 1.5 years does seem a bit light. Statutory rape should carry a minimum of 5 years, as far as I'm concerned. You're going to have a deterrent, you may as well do it right. Right, next up with the Scottish Daily Fail. I've got a fair bit to say on this subject, so let's get on with it. And the fail has, as Trump flies in for historic Gaza summit, Hamas moves captives ready for release. Hostages and world await day of destiny. There's something no right with this headline. So I'm going to put it right. War criminals to be released on day when hopefully peace breaks out. But it's no peace, it's a ceasefire. And Netanyahu's not got a great record on these things. But hostages and world. To be fair, the world looks like these hostages for what they are. They're complicit war criminals who have been illegally fucking occupying Palestine. And that includes the whole of what they call Israel. It's illegally occupying the land of Palestine. And the bit that they call Israel was given to them by an illegal occupier of Palestine. And would you believe it or not, the UK state was right at the heart of it. the term Lord Balfour mean anything to anybody? Funny how these rags are good at whitewashing fucking history, innit? They're no hostages. They're compliant fucking war criminals. These are the occupiers that turned Gaza into the biggest fucking concentration camp that anyone has ever seen. And as we speak, also has the West Bank as a fucking concentration camp as we speak. It's about time we start framing these things right. And we're going to look fucking better at that as we go on. Because truth sayers are needed in this situation. They're no hostages. They're compliant fucking war criminals. Compliant. Because they have lived within a state and supported a state which turned Gaza into the world's biggest concentration camp years ago. I believe the lockdown of Gaza happened about 17 years ago. It's been the world's biggest concentration camp since then. And some of the wording we're just about to see, I will be putting fucking right. So let's move on. Let's get the fail done. Next up with the Times. This one cracks me up. So it does. Hopes and prayers as hostages set for release. Where was the hopes and fucking prayers for the fucking 67,000 Gazans that have been fucking killed? Where are they? Where were the hopes and prayers in these fucking rags? For the humanity that was lacking in these fucking rags. For the 67,000 Gazan people and over 20,000 fucking children who have been killed. Where were the hopes and prayers for them as they were being shot at fish in a fucking barrel? Fuck. Do you know, as far as I'm concerned, these so-called hostages, they're no hostages. They're compliant war criminals. The hostages are in the fucking Israeli prisons. Good morning, Sir Larry. Get our pre-orders in for Shifty McGrifty's full-time selection. We'll need to give that a look. Aye, we don't know what's... And Tina, you're right, we don't know what's under the rubble. We honestly don't. Until we get a head count, we don't know how many of the 2.5 million are still alive. Fucking hopes and prayers as hostage set for release. Let me correct that headline. No hope and no prayers for 60,000 odd dead Palestinians while war criminals are about to leave the concentration camp. Do you know, this fucking headline frightens me. What frightens me the most is the fucking notion that once these hostages are out of there, Netanyahu sets about doing what he always does, and breaks a fucking ceasefire and continues his genocide. That's what my fucking fears are. But I hope and pray, and I'm no religious man, that it doesn't happen, but it fucking will. As you can tell, folks, I'm not enamoured with the headlines today. After the fail, we've got the Times. Sorry, it was people get a Guardian next. No, it's not supposed to be the Guardian. Let's go find the Times. Scottish Daily Fuel, it's supposed to be the Times. Where the hell's the Times gone? Oh, we've just done the Times, that's what it is. Sorry, folks. As you can see, I'm a bit pissed off this morning, so next up's the Guardian. I'm losing track of where I am with these bloody nonsense headlines. Hostage set for freedom and key steps to end Gaza war. Let me correct that one as well, folks, shall we? War criminals set for freedom and key steps in Gaza massacre. Key steps to end Gaza massacre. No war. It was never a fucking war. In order to have a war, you've got to have two opposing armies. The Palestinians don't have an army. And let me also set the record straight. The Israelis are an occupying force. This whole thing has been framed incorrectly. You see, it is legitimate for occupied people to strike out at their occupiers. That is legally, under international law, that is legal for the people who are being occupied to be able to strike out at their occupiers. The whole thing's been framed incorrectly. It's been framed as if Israel was the fucking victim rather than the culprit. The whole situation and the whole time has been framed incorrectly. Occupiers strike out at occupier. That's the fucking truth of it. Israel's not the victim here. Hamas didn't commit an atrocity. They were an occupied people legitimately striking out at their occupiers under international fucking law. Legitimately striking out at their occupiers. And there is not a single person in the so-called state of Israel which illegally occupies Palestinian land that is not compliant. Remember, the news broadcasted them on the fucking hills around Gaza, having parties and signing fucking bombs that were blowing the fucking poor people of Gaza up. The fish in the fish tank. The fish in the barrel. And they're all on top of the surrounding hills having barbecues and fucking celebrating. There's not a single fucking person living in Israel who's no compliant on what's been on for the last fucking 70 odd years. Not fucking one is not compliant. They're all war criminals. Every single one of them. Even those who stood against it but did nothing. Even those who stood against it but did nothing. But time this fucking whole thing was framed properly. And the proper framing of what's been going on is massacre, genocide, concentration camp, occupied. Get the words fucking fixed firmly in the front of your head when we're talking about Israel. As for war, it's no war, it's a massacre. They're shooting fish in a fucking barrel. These people have been locked in for 17 fucking years. And those that dig it out, they can never go back. So at the time this stuff was framed properly. Right after the Guardian, we've got the Metro. I say, folks, I'm a bit short-tempered. The day they fear would never come. Unfortunately for the people of Gaza, this is a day they should fear, has come. Because once these hostages are released, there is absolutely fuck all to hold Netanyahu back. Nothing. The 20 hostages and the pressure from within Israel with the families of these hostages was about the only thing that was holding them back. The minute they returned, can he be stopped? What will he do? He's broke every ceasefire he's agreed in. Once these 20 hostages are out, what's to stop him? Because when we get to the national, you'll get a wee bit clearer picture on what I mean when I say that. Because the words of Netanyahu are printed on the front page. First line. Let's take down the metro. Talking about the national. Here we go. The national. And this is the only paper I'm not really angry with today. And that is how genocide happened. Let me quote Netanyahu in the first line there. No Arabs will remain in Gaza. No one must inhabit the land if it is not the Jewish people. They were the words of Netanyahu. So, once the 20 hostages are released, what's to stop them? Who's to stop them? Well, good morning, Graham. Nice day in Perth, is it? You can observe it for the naughty step you like. Get on the naughty step. Right. The next one is interesting. Israel should make Gaza look like an Auschwitz museum. I'm not sure which of the ministers or rabbis said that. I am for war crimes. I don't care if I'm criticised. I think that was Ben Gvir. Aid trucks continue to enter Gaza. Enough. We are too humanitarian. We are too humanitarian, says Israelis. We have to burn Gaza now. So apparently one of the ministers thought that Israel was being too light on Gaza and they should burn it to the ground. You know, Jim, that's an interesting one. First load of Palestinians released. Released to where? A concentration camp. Which one? Gaza or the West Bank? So they're not actually being released from prison. They're just being transferred from one prison to another. That's the fucking truth. There are no Palestinians being released. They're just being transferred from one prison to another. Either the West Bank concentration camp or the Gaza concentration camp. Them's the facts. Them's the facts. Next up, it's not Hamas that should be eliminated. Erase Gaza. So apparently one of the ministers also wanted to just eliminate them all. And of course, that was the Prime Minister again, Netanyahu. His Amalek triad, or trade, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Anyway, it's not Hamas that should be eliminated. Erase Gaza. Without hunger and thirst among Gazans' population, we will not succeed in recruiting collaborators, says Israel's ministers. Starve them all so that if we offer a wee bit of food to one or two of them, they will provide information. Sick bastards. You know, the folks, make no mistake on this. We're all calling it the Israeli regime who are responsible. And we're all saying it's no the people, it's the government. I'm sorry. The occupation's been going on since 1948. And everybody that lives in that fucking piece of stolen Palestine they call Israel is complicit, is compliant, is a contributor. Trump's at the Knesset, is he? I hope he take a box of fucking matches with him. Saying that he's too slow to move if he'd burn the place to the ground. But, and down at the bottom there, we watch Israel's president sign the bombs. As Israel continues to deny genocide in Gaza after ceasefire, we publish the damning words from the Israeli politicians and their press. So all these quotes are from Israeli politicians and from the Israeli press. While they try and deny genocide. Even though the guns have fell silent for a period of time, the truth is still there. This barbaric regime stroke people, because we're not letting them off with it. We're not blaming the government of Israel alone. The people of Israel have been compliant in this. And to be fair, Israel doesn't really exist. It's stolen land given away by the thief to another. Now, Palestine's been occupied for centuries. The latest of the empires to occupy Palestine was the UK/British Empire. And it was their Lord Balfour who illegally gave away Palestinian land to form the state of Israel. There is no legitimacy in the formation of the state. There is no legitimacy in the existence of the state of Israel. And it's funny how it's Israel that's recognised as a state and no Palestine. But the truth is, of course, Israel is an occupying force which was placed there by the British Empire. They're European Jewish people who are illegally squatting in the Middle East. Aided and abetted by Western countries that didn't fucking want them. There's the truth. These are facts. These are the things that history are trying to make us forget. These are the things that Israel are trying to overwrite. Fact is, Israel doesn't exist. Palestine does. Fact is, Israel is the result of a thief giving away the profits of their thievery. Them's the facts. Right, after the National, we've got the Looney Rag the Express, I think, is up next. So let's have a look. Oh. The Looney Rag the Express. Ultra-fast scan can boost dementia diagnosis rate, apparently. Well, that's good. As dementia seems to be a growing ailment among the populace of these islands. I wonder if it's something in the food or the water. Right, done with that. Done with that. And we've got the Tory graph. Now I need to go and pull this star up because I shut it down by mistake. And the Tory graph has Chinese debt trap threat to Britain. So much for that sovereignty we're all fucking shouting about, eh? Because when you get right down to it, the UK's been mortgaged to almost every fucker with its national debt. We don't even own the fucking place, never mind sovereignty. Successive governments have run the place for their own benefit and not the benefit of the people, so therefore the UK is a broken state. And the Chinese own a fair chunk of it, the Yanks own a fair chunk of it, the Europeans own a fair chunk of it. The only people that don't own a fucking chunk of it is the people that live in this fucking rock. While they're all shouting about sovereignty. The only people that don't own a fucking square inch of this fucking rock are the people who live on it. All our public services, all our utilities, they're all fucking owned outside. Scotland being a bit of an exception to the rule, we still have two services that are in the hands of the public. The water and the medical services. Everything else is owned out with. Even Scottish Power and Scottish Southern Electric, all owned out with. Oil and gas, all owned out with. Fucking no real. Right. So, Chinese debt trap. Indebted to everybody. Everybody could shut the fucking door on us. The Mora. Just call in the debt and the UK is done for. And I guess that's where we're going. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm off to England, but the headlines are just the same this morning because I've been through the English rags to find the star. Because for some reason, it's known the Scottish Review of the Day. So we'll take down the Telegraph and we'll pull up a star. Horse chestnut hero, king and conqueror. Royal Charles saves world champs by delivering 300 Windsor conquers. So there you go. Apparently Charlie had some footmen go and gather up some nuts to the grounds at Windsor to save the World Conquering or the World Conquer Championships. That's almost as good as a boffin. It's definitely right out there. So there you go. Charlie's become a conqueror. I wonder if he took part in the event. Lorna, sorry about the creaky chair, by the way. I know it drives you into the twist. I have tried oil on it. It's not working. Anyway, folks, that's the first one out the road. The headlines this morning were outrageous. The whole situation in Palestine has been framed incorrectly since 1948. But just taking it in current context, it has been framed incorrectly. So let me remind you how it should be framed. Occupied people strike at occupying force. 07-10-2023. Occupying force then commence committing genocide. And it's no the people of Palestine who are illegitimate. It is the occupying force who are illegitimate. They are squatting in Palestinian land and claiming it's theirs because the thief who stole it from the Palestinians, the British Empire, gave it to European Jews. Looks like we've got a legend. I'll catch you later, folks. Look after each other. See you tomorrow. See you this afternoon, 4 o'clock. Bye for now.